The following program is a podcast1.com production.
Your healthy radio addiction starts now.
Power to the people!
The Laura Ingraham Show.
Fly around the world to a secret destination. Where in the world is
Matt Lauer?
Katie, it's kind of a catchy tune, isn't it? Where in the world am I?
Breaking news overnight, Matt Lauer has been terminated from NBC News. Our chairman has released a statement saying a colleague had come forward reporting behavior in violation of our company's standards.
Breaking news. We finally discovered where in the world was Matt Lauer. We now know what he was up to. Well, is there anyone left? Maybe they could bring John Chancellor back from the grave to do the.
Do you realize? I think I may well be the last anchor standing before this is over. Who knows? I might be hosting all these shows.
Yeah, from EWTN.
The last man anchor standing.
No.
This is. I do worry about this though. It has become there's a kind of frenzy out there, and when you see these big media types going down in such succession, you do worry about what it means culturally and otherwise.
Well, could this be Megyn Kelly's
big moment?
Big moment to step in, and Katie Couric is no longer.
Is television going to be is news only going to be a female occupation? No more males need not apply.
Apparently, no men should be anchoring any longer. I mean, think about who we could bring back. Well, Keith Olbermann said he was not going to do politics anymore. He's retired from politics.
Well, he's got his own.
Well, and then, wait, who else? They say that...
They could dig up David Brinkley could come back from the dead and host.
Well, I understand that George Stephanopoulos is on the short list for replacing... Do we know exactly what the allegations
Here are the allegations.
Here are the allegations.
As we can determine
Raymond,
them.
I'm on my way into work today to get a little exercise. I went for a jog along the Potomac River.
You did?
I did.
And no one pushed you in, nothing?
It's always a good day when I don't get, accosted by some lefty when I'm running along the Potomac River. But
I'll give you an Ingraham angle.
Yeah, how about this angle right in the Potomac?
Yeah.
By the way, you know what's really depressing? We'll get back to Lauer in a second, but let's focus on me
you for a moment, yes.
You know what's amazing is when you think you actually have a pretty good pace going, and then someone passes you.
A child.
No. A person passes you on the trail, running trail, and you look at them and you're like, God, they're slow. And then I was like, wait a second, she just passed me. That means I'm practically walking. No. That happened to me when I ran the marathon, too. I thought, I'm picking up a good pace, the New York Marathon. I have a pretty good pace going. And then someone, God bless her, a woman who's like 5'5", weighs 250 pounds, is blowing by me. I'm like, she's in better shape than I am.
Using a walker.
No, but I'm coming back, slowly coming back from my 2-show-a-day non-exercise days. But so Raymond calls me. And I'm just about
with
to
the good news. I always give you the good news in the morning.
You always call the good news. When Raymond calls me early in the morning, I think, someone's dead. Someone's died. And in this case, it's a career who's died. That's died. And then we got the Cabbage Patch Kid firing off another missile.
That can hit Washington, apparently, now. D.C. is within range.
And I spent all that money on that landscaping, for my landscaping on my house. Here's the good news. You don't have to worry about mowing the lawn anymore. The bad news is you have no lawn. It's all gone. So we have that small matter to deal with, the Cabbage Patch Kid. Well, didn't you used to pull a cord on the Cabbage Patch doll and they would talk, or was that?
I don't think so.
Chrissy and Velvet with
that
the
was
hair
something
growing?
Else.
I can't remember.
That was a Woody doll.
Yeah, that was.
But
so what happened? Back
to the Lauer accusations, and I want to say that
accusations.
There was a female NBC employee who claims during the Rio Olympics, Matt Lauer was gold medaling, and apparently
Was it a long jump?
Well, I don't know if it was a long jump or a pole vault, but whatever it was, he apparently
so bad.
he didn't quite get gold on this one. And look, he and his wife apparently have
close
lived
and
separate
personal.
lives. She filed for divorce in 2006. They
back together.
reached a settlement. She lives elsewhere. He lives in town. And the rumor was that he was dating a number of ladies at NBC, all consensual.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my worry.
Yeah, I know him a little bit. He's a liberal. He's a liberal guy. He always seemed fine to me. But
Well,
how do I
all
know?
the people at NBC were very broken up. Savannah Guthrie, Hoda
She
Kotb,
crying?
and Willie
They
Geist
crying.
were very
Was
upset.
Savannah playing the role of Nora O'Donnell crying
Yes.
about? Let's put a montage together of Nora O'Donnell crying over Charlie Rose, Savannah crying
Gayle
over
King.
Laura. Gayle King is Oprah. Has anyone
Hoda.
checked on Oprah today? Because I think Nopra. Oh no one checked on Oprah. So now they're all broken up.
Does this mean Brokaw's coming back to the mornings?
Mumbles is coming back. Oh, talk radio was a
All we
inappropriate.
can say is that we are heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for Matt. He is my
You're just
dear
getting a
friend and my
raise.
partner, and he is beloved by many, many people here. And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her
please.
story, and any other women who have their own stories to tell.
And I get the big office now.
And we are grappling with a dilemma that so many people have faced these past few weeks. How do you reconcile your love for someone with the revelation that they have behaved badly? And I don't know the answer
You
to
guys
that.
how many times did they have Bill Clinton on? How many times did these people interview Bill Clinton on the Today Show? Didn't they do those big colloquies for the Clinton Foundation? They did the round tables.
MSNBC,
How many
Joe and
times-
Mika.
I have a question. How many times did they go over to
The Clinton Global Initiative.
Davos in Switzerland and do the Davos panels with all the sexual molesters?
All the Hollywood
But
stars.
now because it's Matt Lauer, they're suddenly broken up. They weren't broken up for Juanita Broderick. Where are the trail of tears for Paula Jones? Well, this is the most phony baloney stuff I've ever heard. They're broken up. She's going to get a raise. She'll get his office, which you know is bigger. Megyn Kelly will come in and swoop in, and it'll all be women. It'll be all women on all the. Maybe they'll bring back Connie Chung. What's Connie Chung doing? Was she ever at NBC or CBS? I can't remember.
She was at CBS.
I've never seen her again. She's just gone away.
Yeah.
Is she doing Home Shopping Network or something?
Joan London could come back.
Joan London from that A Place for Mom.
Katie
ad.
is free. Yahoo News has
Drop
booted
Katie
her,
Couric.
so she's
This
free.
I think we have a theme going on throughout the entire radio show. Who could replace Matt Lauer?
Bryant Gumbel,
855
call your
Laura.
office.
855. Well, he's a bit of a flirt too. Remember when Jesse Jackson said to me, "I'm going to tell us." I've already told this on the show years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Jackson says to me one day, "Where were we? I don't know. I have to think about where we actually were. Maybe on a plane or no, we were on a panel together. I think it was CNN." He goes, "I bet you do a lot of Stairmaster." He said that. He looked at me and he said, "You work out a lot. You do a lot of Stairmaster." I said, "Well, I do a lot of Stairmaster. Thanks a lot." Like, it didn't bother me at all. I mean, I guess some people would say that was inappropriate, but who cares? I said, "Thanks." I said, "You look like you're in pretty good shape too. Bye. See you later." That was my response. But you know what I do look back on, which wasn't in the 20 years ago range. I look back on these moments of just a few months ago.
You were probably the last guy in the world that they wanted to fire because you were the guy that the ratings and the revenues were built on. You carried that network on your shoulders for a lot of years.
Fingers
so
always
doesn't
pointed
it
back at
seem
you,
safe
said
to
Buddha.
assume that the people at Fox News were given a piece of information or given some evidence that simply made it impossible for you
Matt might
to
have
stay
kicked
on
the
at
cord
Fox
out
News?
of that bite. Well, I don't know what happened to the end of that bite. But
Well,
now the president is weighing in. The president has tweeted.
oh no,
and
he's
wait,
enjoying. Let
brace
me just
yourself.
say, okay, the Billy Bush. Now remember, this is the network that dropped Billy Bush for the Billy Bush Trump bad boy talk on the bus. Remember the bad boy talk on the bus in October of 2016 that everybody thought was going to be kind of the end
Kill
of
his
Trump.
campaign.
It killed Billy Bush's. Now, is Trump saying that didn't happen now? I'm a little confused about
Yeah,
Trump.
he said it wasn't real or
It
something.
wasn't.
Well,
He better
in any
drop
event,
that anyway.
he has tweeted twice this morning,
Okay.
and
He's
I'm going
having
to
fun.
read these now.
Okay. Go.
Wow, Matt Lauer was just fired from NBC for inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. But when will the top executives at NBC and Comcast be fired for putting out so much fake news? Check out Andy Lack's past.
Here's the second tweet.
So now that Matt
Maybe I am
Lauer...
going to have to start telling my stories.
Yeah, you
Me
bet.
too.
No.
Watch out.
Me
Me
three.
too. See, I have my Me Too cards in my back pocket. I'm not playing those cards
That's
quite
going to
yet.
be an Ingram Angle special.
That'll be an Ingram Angle hour-long special. But, Me Too. Go ahead.
Second Trump tweet of the day.
So now that Matt Lauer is gone, when will the fake news practitioners at NBC be terminating the contract of Phil Griffin? And will they terminate the low ratings Joe Scarborough based on the unsolved mystery that took place in Florida years ago?
The dead intern?
Investigate.
Oh, he's talking about the dead intern that was found in Joe's office. Wow, we're going real. We're going real. John Walsh on everybody.
Total tabloid.
We're going John Walsh from the Oval. What's going on?
Check out Andy Lack's past. Phil Griffin should
Wait
be
a second.
fired.
This is like the deck of cards in the Iraq War. This is the deck of cards in the Iraq War. Remember who got the Uday and Kusay? Those are like the ace of spades. Then you got all the king, queen. Remember all the deck of cards? Trump has his own deck of cards up on the Oval Office.
This is a Trump hand. That's
you know what
for
this
sure.
is called? Payback.
Boy, oh boy.
This is called payback. Well, first of all, Jeff Sessions is a lot of things Jeff Sessions isn't investigating. This isn't quite on the top of my list.
But we should tell people, we are not joking. These are actually
actual
the
tweets.
He just tweeted this. The president did.
Now, we're about to go to war. I don't think we need to.
Now, Brian Stelter was out today on CNN
We should invite him on our show.
This is not.
Get it. Call up Brian Stetler. What is his name?
Stelter. You're right. You're Stetler.
Stelzer, seltzer water. What is it? I always forget his name. Why can't I? Certain names I just can't get.
Stelter or
Is it Seltzer?
No, it's not seltzer. That's the
Stetler, Stelzer, or Seltzer? Which is it?
Stelter.
Oh, I was right.
It's a hard name. Stelter?
Stelter. Like
I've been
Stelter,
saying seltzer.
Skelter.
I think I've been saying seltzer for years. That's like me. People call me Ingraham. I kind of like Ingraham. Ingraham.
The New York Times has been working on an investigation into Lauer and into alleged sexual misconduct. It's the kind of story we may have known about. I certainly knew there were rumors in our business about this story.
But it wasn't a little different than all of the stuff that we've heard about Charlie Rose and Harvey Weinstein and Roger Ailes. Wasn't this in a different category or no?
Well, I want to be clear. I don't know the details of what the New York Times may or may not have.
This is
The story has not been published by the Times.
Mission of
but
Lauer.
it was well known within NBC that there was this reporting going on.
That what? Reporting going on that what? Yeah, but what did he do? What did he do? I mean, what give me the facts here. All I know is for him to be gone, like vaporized overnight, there had to have been a tape, right? There had to have been an audio tape, don't you think, or a videotape? It can't be just someone. It can't be just, someone saying, "Oh well, he sent me lewd text." It has to be. I mean, it has to be something else. That's all I can say. But who's left? Stephanopoulos is left.
Yes, Michael Strahan.
Who's Michael Strahan?
He's the former NFL guy that was on with Kelly Ripa, who's now at GMA. He is the co-host at GMA. Good Morning America. You don't watch Good Morning America.
No, I don't watch that.
And that's all. That's it.
That's who's left.
There's some new man sitting with Gail and Nora O'Donnell, but I don't know.
Scott Pelley
who he
was
is.
gone for another reason. They showed him the door over at CBS Evening News.
Yeah. They have a new anchor coming in at CBS.
Is Morley Safer? Anyone? I mean, people are going to be coming back. Maybe they should. I have an idea.
Holograms.
Are you guys? They just took it out of my mouth. Let's do hologram evening news. We can bring back Cronkite.
Oh,
we could bring back Concrete. You could bring
Brinkley.
Huntley Brinkley report. You could bring back Brokaw when he didn't mumble quite so much.
And then at the end you could go to Andy Rooney.
Well, let me tell you about.
Did you ever notice?
Did you ever notice that Lauer seemed to? He kind of strutted his stuff when he walked by the offices of certain young women in the. Oh no. Okay, so we have our own deck of cards, right? So the deck of cards, it's mostly Democrats. Let's face it. I mean, there are some Republicans in this deck of cards.
Breaking news. Megyn Kelly on Matt Lauer's firing.
Uh-oh. She wants that job.
As painful.
Her career is going to be revived because she's going to step in Lauer's shoes, and it will be, I am woman, hear me roar once again. Do you want a prediction? Megyn Kelly's going in. They got to justify that $20 million a year.
They got to get her off of that show
before Hoda. They got to get her out of that. We're going glamping with Doug, my husband. Those tedious interludes.
As painful as this moment is for so many at NBC today.
She hated him.
At CBS earlier this month and at Fox News over the last year.
For your inappropriate hug you got from Roger Ailes, really? That was, all I know is she had a lot of nice dinners over at the Ailes house over the years, and suddenly it was an inappropriate hug after what's her name at the Fox and Friends paved the way for the first lawsuit.
Gretchen Carlson.
Yeah, suddenly it was an inappropriate hug. Oh, no. Now, you know something? I'm done with this stuff. Don't go to someone's house for dinner and send them thank you notes if it's such an onerous workplace environment. Get out of town. I'm sick of that.
So Kelly is saying, Megyn Kelly, she, as painful as this is, in Hollywood and elsewhere, it's a sign of progress.
Oh yeah, progress, not in your ratings. Don't go away.
So here's goodbye, so soon.
It doesn't actually get bigger in our business than Matt Lauer. I think it's fair to say. He has been such a staple of morning news and morning TV throughout most of our lives.
You don't let your number one guy go.
You followed me, I followed you. We would.
Do you see what an inflated view of themselves they all have? It doesn't get bigger than this. Yeah, it actually does. You could lose a child. We could be in the middle of a major ground war in North Korea. You could become homeless. Your son or daughter could get addicted to opioids. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could be a lot worse than that, Allison. And I actually like Allison Comrade. I liked her a lot at Fox when she was there. And she kind of seems different over at CNN, but I've always liked her. But it's like it doesn't get bigger than this. Come on. You're a news anchor. You read other people's writing for a living, and you get paid a lot of money. Okay? For the most part. He's had an unbelievable life. I don't know what these allegations are. Maybe there's truth to them. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. But the media, this reaction, these people have been covering in their own way. I'm not talking about Camerata. For the bad boys in the media, what their content is and what their behavior has been for decades. And now it's bearing the first, second, third fruits of their labor. This is all it. And now they're shocked? Oh, you're not shocked, please. It doesn't get bigger than this. We'll show you. It'll get a lot bigger than this. You just wait and see. Thanks to my wonderful sponsors and your support, I'm glad to say that we can provide this podcast at no cost to you at all. As a loyal listener of my program, please consider testing our sponsors because they're the ones who actually cover the cost to produce this daily show. So if you're a dog lover like I am, how about giving your dog, your best friend, a fresh, healthy, and nutritious diet? When dogs eat well, they live longer and happier lives. I'm here to tell you about NomNomNow.com, which cooks the world's best dog food. It's made fresh in the USA and delivered right to your door every week. Nom Nom Now's customized recipes, cook fresh in our kitchen, delivering healthy nutrition you can actually see. Switch to Nom Nom Now and your dog will have more energy, a shinier, softer coat, and a longer, better life. Nom Nom Now really is the best food for your best friend. And right now you can save 50% on your first 2 orders of fresh, healthy dog food when you use my code Laura at NomNomNow.com. That's code Laura and save 50% on your first 2 orders. NomNom now.com. And code word LAURA.
This is a tax bill to help the rich. They see it, they taste it, they feel it. And if the Republicans ram this thing through, they're going to explode the debt. They're going to raise taxes on hardworking families. And by the way, when you explode the debt, that's something America's going to have to pay for down the line. It is fiscally irresponsible. It is democratically irresponsible.
They call her Pocahontas.
And I could have been much ruder and called her Pocahontas, but I just did the Pocahontas. Christmas time, after all. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. It's really funny to hear Elizabeth Warren talk about the cram down. Think about what Obama crammed down. Think about what he did. Everything from Obamacare to these stimulus bills with little to, no Republican input. Didn't care about that.
Cram down. Elizabeth Warren, the Consumer
Financial Protection
Bureau, is an agency that is immune from any outside interference.
No,
Congress
there's no oversight whatsoever. So we'll talk about runaway government. Elizabeth Warren's getting a taste of her own medicine right now, and there are a few Republicans who are standing in the way of real tax reform. Which again, it's not everything I want. Just like the Obamacare repeal effort wasn't everything I wanted. I agree to some extent with Larry Kudlow that this Republicans should have gone for a clean tax cuts, clean. Keep this thing clean. But, they weren't able to do the Obamacare repeal and they didn't want to do the border adjustment tax, so they had none of those savings. So here we are. And it always happens right before Christmas.
Which you warned about back in May.
Back in May, I said they're going to go all the way through Christmas. Watch what happens. And everything is going to be pushed to the last week, right before Christmas break. Joining us now, John Hoeven. I'm delighted he's with us. Senator from the great state of North Dakota, where winter has already arrived. But it could be a long winter of the Republicans' discontent if they do not get this passed. And we're just delighted that Senator Hoeven is with us. Senator, how are you? How's your family? How's everybody?
Good, Laura, and Merry Christmas to you. You had a great Christmas ad on there, and I got to tell you, in North Dakota, it's really nice, about 50 degrees. 60 degrees when I
global
went
warming
last
is helping
weekend,
you.
So, got to tell you, it's pretty nice out there.
I still have to come up to. It's one of the. I think it's one of the 2 states I have never been to, North Dakota. So I do have to come.
Invited.
Yeah, I'm coming, and we're going to go.
Yes, you'll love it.
We'll go hunting together, but then you hunt, and then I'll try to resuscitate the animals. That's what I usually do. So I'm not a hunter.
We have great hunting.
I just try to resuscitate the birds after they're shot. That's what I do.
We have great hunting and great fishing.
All right, I'll do the
really
fishing.
Fantastic.
I don't care about the fish as much.
Come out. Yep.
All right. Well, that's on the books. Let's talk about where we are in this tax reform because you heard Elizabeth Warren, who said this is a cram down, a giveaway to the rich. And then you have people on the right saying, why do the Republicans make this so complicated? Why don't we have clean tax reform, cleaner tax cuts, more relief for the people who actually pay the lion's share of the taxes? So which is the truth there? Is it Elizabeth Warren or some of the critics on the right, like Larry Kudlow and others?
No, she's not right. I mean, it's tax relief focused on the middle class, but we give tax relief across the board. And it's not just tax relief, Laura. It's about growing the economy. When you combine the regulatory relief we've done with tax relief, you get more economic growth, and that creates more jobs, more demand for labor, and higher wages. So it's a twofer. It's about keeping more of your hard-earned tax dollars, growing this economy, and moving wages and income higher.
And Senator McCain, it looks like he could once again be the Grinch who stole tax reform, or Grinch who stole Republican success, legislative success. What is going on there? Your old pal Jeff Flake, or Corker, I should say. You had the Corker-Hoeven immigration bill, which I couldn't stand that thing you did back in whenever that was.
But you and I debated. My part of that was border security. You go back and look. My part was border security.
I know, but we're going to have lunch over that someday because we'll have lunch and discuss the immigration. I want to discuss that with you. But on this stuff, your old friend Corker, and then you got Collins, Flake, McCain, and Murkowski looks like she'll be okay in the end. But McCain is the one who really looks like he's going to be a no vote on this. What do you say to McCain today? After all these years of Republican campaigning as a so-called conservative, what do you say to him?
I've talked to him. I'll continue to talk to him and do everything I can to get him to vote for the bill. I mean, we need tax relief. You know, as you said, look, nobody's going to like everything in it because everybody has different ideas of what they want. But this is truly tax relief, and I'm working to get every Republican to vote for it. I think we're going to get it, and the Democrats ought to join us. We'll see. At this point, it doesn't look like they will.
Senator, the concern is that this always gets jammed up right before Christmas, where we don't have like normal course budgeting, we don't have, this regular legislative process. It's always running and gunning to the last minute. And we see this with some of the delays and confirmation of key positions, both at the State Department, at the Energy Department, other federal departments. What about this idea, and would you favor this? I'm not even necessarily talking about working through Christmas, although, maybe you have to work through Christmas. It's the country's future at stake. But what about keeping people in session, not adjourning, until things really get done? And force the Democrats' hand, because Schumer and company, they don't want to be working this hard. They don't want to work over a weekend, multiple weekends. And finally, they'll cry uncle and start confirming good people to assistant secretary and deputy secretary positions, and maybe even get some votes on some key pieces of legislation. What about that idea?
Right. No, we are doing more of that, and we're going to have to do more of that. It's unfortunate. It should be debate, vote on the merits. But, with tax relief, I believe we'll move it this week. We'll get the conference past that before the end of the year. The challenge, of course, is Senator Schumer and Nancy Pelosi now are positioning to hold up funding for the year because they feel that Democrats win in a showdown if there's any kind of shutdown. And that's the challenge we have. We are, I think, putting forward very reasonable proposals, but they're really pushing to the shutdown because they feel that Republicans get blamed if there's a shutdown.
Well, Senator Schumer said that in 2013 that a shutdown should never be on the table. That's what he said. But now they're the ones who are poised to shut down the government, correct? Or shut down some parts of the government.
Yeah. Right. You saw what happened today, and that's the first step in positioning for a shutdown and trying to blame Republicans for it, because they want to add a bunch of things to spending bills. And then if we say, no, that's not reasonable, then they say, okay, you guys shut down government. And it just typically, it plays that the Republicans are the one at fault, even though we're saying, no, here's the spending bills, we're putting forward reasonable proposals, and then they want to add a bunch of things to it, and they say if we don't agree to that, then we're shutting down the government.
So he said previously that you should not be able to, and correct me if I'm wrong, attach policy proposals to budgeting legislation, correct? Okay, so in his policy proposal, going back to immigration, is to give mass amnesty to all these so-called dreamers, correct? That's one of his big deals. Correct?
Right. They want to attach, yes, that's what they want to do, is they want to attach policy issues down to the spending bills when, as you said before, of course, we can't have any kind of policy bills attached to the spending bills. But again, it's them positioning to demand things and then blame us for shutting down government if we don't go along with it.
Senator Hoeven, back to my idea of just staying in session, where Republicans frame this debate as it needs to be framed. We need real tax reform. We need corporate rates cut. We need relief to the middle class. And this is what we have on the table. This is what we're voting on. And force their hand. Make them stay in session with the Republicans, so they can go home. They can go home and not vote. Whatever they want to do. But we stay in, because I'm still a Republican, of course, but stay in session until this whole thing is revealed. I think the great thing about Trump, one of the great things, not just the roaring economy, but one of the great things is that you see everybody's cards. Everybody has to put their cards on the table now, from again, McCain to Flake, to some of these other, Susan Collins, and I know they're colleagues of yours, but you kind of see where the rubber's meeting the road here. And it's time to expose the Democrats for what they're really doing to hold up real economic revival beyond just the 3.3% GDP we just heard about this morning, which is fabulous. Imagine what it's going to be like once we get tax reform through. But pin it on the donkey.
Well, sure.
Pin the tail on the donkey, the Democrats.
Right. I think that's exactly what we're working to do with tax relief to get it done before year end. We need to stick with it until we get it done. And the same thing with the year-end spending bills. But we really have to pound the message that, look, we're putting forward reasonable proposals. We're not interested in shutting down government, but the Democrats can't demand all these other policy issues and say, if we don't go along, that somehow that's a shutdown. But yeah, you're right. We have to stick with it until we get it done.
You know what? I think you're a hero. Senator Hoeven, you're a hero if you go to the American people and you say, we're not going anywhere. Like, I urge Senator McConnell, and I know he's a Senate Majority Leader. I get that. But you're a hero if you say, look, you're like Mr. Hoeven goes to Washington. You're staying here. And if you have to stay speaking on the Senate floor until actually this gets done, I don't care. I just think if I'm advising you as a political advisor, that's the advice I give you. And you're the champion of the people. Well, you expose them. That's what you should do.
In essence, that's what's going to happen. Look, December 8th, the funding bill comes up. And so we're going to have to stick with it until we get something in place. The thing that's going to be important, Lars, is how people perceive it. When we hang tough, people have to understand that the Democrats are making a lot of demands and then saying somehow Republicans are shutting down government. So there's going to have to be
go on the offensive.
Democrats saying,
go on the offensive.
Yeah,
Trump does. He never goes on the defense. He goes on offense. That's what you guys have to do.
That's right. The communication is going to be important. That's right.
And do you think the leadership in the House and Senate are ready for this type of aggressive messaging? Because I think they lost it on health care reform. I can tell you that right now.
You know, I think so, but you saw the press conference yesterday after Senator Schumer and Representative Pelosi would refuse to come up to the White House. The president had what I thought was a very effective press conference where he said, hey, we're here, we're ready, we're working to keep the government open. Where are you guys? That's the kind of communication that we have to do.
Yeah, well, he can't carry the ball all by himself. I'm glad you're coming on our show. And again, it's the Democrats resistant to economic growth. They're resisting transformational change. They're resisting American middle-class tax relief. I would turn their resistance right on them. I'd use their lingo and turn the tables right on them. I just gave you like 3 ideas, so you can take those. Senator Hoeven.
Yeah, I think the tax relief, regulatory relief is big for our economy, going to be good for our country, good for people and for jobs.
Personalize it, get a couple families from North Dakota, make the trip to D.C., and they should speak at a press conference on Capitol Hill and say Democrat leaders, why are you stopping my tax cut? Why do you want to keep more of my money? I'd have people from every major state in this country given a microphone and speak right to the American people, and we'll cover that. I think it would be fantastic. Anyway, I should run communications for the Congress. That's my next job.
It's a great message. Absolutely. It's a great message.
Senator Hoeven, you take care. We'll check back with you next week, the week after. We really appreciate it. We'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. My kids love to dance to this. They love this song. Kids love it. It's such a great song. In 1970, right? I think 70, 71. You realize how talented Michael Jackson was. I think he was 7 when he sang this. 7, 8. Unbelievable.
Motown.
Great
American music.
70. He was 7. He was he was 9, 8 or 9 when he sang that.
And Rockin' Robin, my kids love.
Oh no, we danced to that in the house. Oh, we go crazy. This is just a cool song. Why are we bringing up ABC? Well, letters are, acronyms. We love acronyms here on the Laura Ingraham Show. Acronyms are fun, aren't they? Fun. FBI, CIA. What's your favorite acronym, Raymond?
RAA.
RAA is your name. RAA. Mine's LAI. Would you have a favorite acronym, James? What's your favorite acronym? My favorite acronym might be RBI. Runs batted in. HR, home run, all that.
Oh, that's good stuff.
That's up. But how's this for an acronym? LGGBDTTTIQQAAPP.
What is that?
Lesbian, gay, gender queer, bisexual, demisexual, transgender, transsexual, two-spirit, intersex, queer, questioning, asexual, allies, I don't know what that means, pansexual and polyamorous, inclusiveness training.
Well, all right.
Elementary schools, this is in Durham, I don't even know where
so
this is.
So we've moved past LGBT.
This is in Britain, the state.
Your healthy radio addiction starts now.
Power to the people!
The Laura Ingraham Show.
We had hoped to make progress with the administration in a meeting this afternoon. Unfortunately, instead of leading, the president tweeted a blatantly inaccurate statement and then concluded, "I don't see a deal." 3 hours before our meeting, before he heard anything we had to say.
They want tax increases and we want major tax decreases. So they decided not to show up. They've been all talk and they've been no action. And now it's even worse. Now it's not even talk.
You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA, no deal. I would not have sent out that tweet if I were the president. Not because I care about Chuck Schumer's feelings, but it doesn't accomplish anything. I think it's better to have those Democrats sitting there for the rest of the country to see them sitting there with him. I mean, it's kind of dramatic to have the empty chairs and just their name tags there, which is what they had yesterday at the White House around the big conference table. It was just the empty chairs, like debating the empty chair with Clint Eastwood.
I thought Clint Eastwood was going to show
exactly.
up for a second.
But there's always time for that type of framing. You know, there's a way to frame things that works and one that doesn't. But I think that if you want to box the Democrats in, I think you have to have them at the table first. They would reject what Trump was saying, but it's much better to have them sitting next to you and say, "Look, this is a budget. We got to get this spending stuff through, and we need real tax reform for the middle class." And I know there's a resistance out there, Chuck, but you can't be resistant to giving, what is it, $1,300 or $1,500 to every middle class family in the United States with a tax rebate. Basically, what would be more money in their pockets. You can't be resistant to that, Chuck. And the next level of framing after they leave the White House is to say, I guess in the end, the Democrats are more concerned about the fate of illegal immigrants than they are the fate of 280 million Americans who need real relief.
If the president reverses course and decides he wants to be a constructive force, working with both sides to forge a bipartisan deal, we're happy to meet with him anytime, anywhere, any place. But as long as he remains a destructive force, it would be a waste of everyone's time to continue working with someone who clearly has no interest in coming to an agreement.
Peggy Noonan today on Morning Joe said that Trump is not good at doing deals, contrary to what he campaigned on. Just not great at deals. I think it was around 7 o'clock or so. Not good at deals.
You don't know what. Here's the bottom line. The man is so unpredictable. He has so many ways to get his message out. You have to sit back and wait for the dust to settle with Donald Trump. It is a fool's errand to, in the middle of a movement, try to say, where he's going or where he'll end up.
That's a good point. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think Peggy might be.
Well, we're looking for the Peggy sound, right, kids? Come on.
Because I think he was actually trying to smoke Nancy and Chuck out and force their hand, because he's saying, look, you're all about immigration. All you want is immigration out of this deal and raise taxes. That's not good enough. That makes Trump look like the defender of the people. And it also puts them on the defensive. I mean, are Nancy and Chuck Schumer willing to hold up the federal government for this?
He knows they're not going to go along with what they are pushing, and he has already heard that they're willing to have the government shut down. So I guess what I would do, and this is Monday morning quarterbacking, Wednesday morning quarterbacking, but I mean, he said a meeting with Chuck and Nancy about keeping the government open and working. Problem is they want illegal immigrants flooding into our country. That does frame it And you notice Chuck didn't talk about illegal immigrants.
Right. He smoked him out and shut him down. Now he's talking about, you're giving tax cuts to the rich. I don't know about you, but if you read
my taxes are going to go up. My taxes are going up. I don't know what they're talking about. Sexual misconduct claims in Congress. Everybody's talking about that. We're going to go to this on MSNBC. We got to keep our eyes on the TVs, and we got to make sure we go to this. There are a number of congressmen. Kathy McMorris Rogers just spoke. Let's go. Let's listen.
And this cannot be tolerated. As you know, we had our first hearing on November 14th, where we dealt in a bipartisan way on how to go forward on this issue.
Okay, again, you're taking.
All right. Well, they're getting cut in on MSNBC, but they're having a GOP leader speaking about sexual misconduct claims in Congress. As the Lauer news broke, Matt Lauer out at NBC after an allegation of inappropriate sexual conduct, apparently at the Olympics. So this was a... And
they were in mourning today at Morning Joe. Took on a different cast.
Oh, Morning Joe, they were all upset. Oh, no.
Willie Geist
Craig
was
Shirley
practically in tears.
Craig Shirley emailed me, said it's like they died. They're acting like he died.
My thoughts, of course, are with Matt. He's been a friend. He's been a mentor. He's been a guy you could watch, a guy who led by his example on the set, the way he treated the crew, the way he knew everybody's name, the class and dignity he carried himself with. Obviously, I didn't know about these other things that we'll now be examining and reporting on ourselves, but all I can say from a professional point of view is that he is one of the guys I have always looked up to in this business, and he taught me an awful lot.
Well, yeah, look, your friend's getting scrapes, and I get it. I actually like Willie Geist. Matt Lauer was always nice to me. I mean, we fought a little bit, but he was a liberal. Like, I always knew he was a liberal, but I don't know what these allegations are. I mean, I'm not sticking up for him, but I do think that at some point this all becomes weaponized, to use a phrase I'm sick of.
We have to
Weaponized.
be very careful, because allegations are just that. And I think
they're so they're so worried about their deal
payouts.
coming up. They're worried about their big merger coming up. Yep. And the antitrust division's already, putting the kibosh on this, and they're worried that will be another reason perhaps they're, NBC, Comcast, who knows? Who knows what there could be a lot of reasons for jettisoning him overnight. Did he even get to pack up his office? Or they just
they're also saying they have reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident. But the question is, what does that mean? What does that mean? An isolated incident in that he was having other affairs in the company?
Inappropriate hugs?
I don't know.
Who should be the new anchor of the Today Show? If you actually cared who is an anchor of the Today Show, who should be the anchor of the Today Show? Megyn Kelly's she's already in Andy Lack's office saying, give it to me. My show's tanking, right?
Well, Oprah, she ain't. I mean, that's clear.
No, that's not working. So she's definitely going to go for it, don't you think? I don't think. And she's like, crying crocodile tears over Matt. And
but you need to.
The Inquirer had a big story about how Lauer and she hated each other.
You can't have It can't all be estrogen on the desk all day long. You gotta have a little. You need the tension of a male at the desk. It only works that way.
Yeah, you need a man.
You need a male anchor.
You need male anchors and female anchors. I think both are great. My favorite
you need the balance.
My favorite was Jane Pauley and Tom Brokaw. That was my favorite combo on the Today Show. They were great. I thought that was the best era of the Today Show.
Matt Lauer and Katie Couric were very good.
Matt Lauer and Katie Couric were great.
Told. Now, when Katie went and tried other things, it didn't work.
Didn't work, because guess what?
She's not a daytime host. She's not a nighttime host.
She's not a syndicated host. No. We just don't
care
that much.
You gotta know where the light that you shine best in. And some people
I'm doing radio and TV, Raymond.
Well, you're figuring it out.
I'm walking down that path, but what I won't do is Dancing with the Stars. Really? Although I could do pretty well.
You could do Dancing with the Stars.
I was the ballroom dancing.
Though when you blow that ankle, it'll be an Ingraham ankle. An Ingraham ankle. That'll be the new show. The dancing contest will be somebody called ABC. The Ingraham ankle. It'll be for all of the the people with disabilities, fractured knees or arms and
from the show.
They have old wounds, and then they try to outdance each other.
So Peggy Noonan was questioning the president's deal-making capability. By the way, that Benghazi suspect who was cleared of murder charges, but did he ever bathe? I mean,
looks
look
like
at
Mark
that
Ruffalo in the woods.
He looks like he just walked out of a garbage dump. My God, is he hideous looking. I'm sorry, but the beards just don't work. I mean, it's not working at all.
And one of your Twitter correspondents just said, the women are so distraught, shedding crocodile tears over Charlie Rose and Matt Lauer, they had no problem remaining dry-eyed and agreeing to interview a worse sexual predator, Bill Clinton.
Well, who said that last hour?
Yeah.
They fawn all over Bill Clinton, fawning all over him. And all of them, if anyone who knew anyone in Hollywood knew Harvey Weinstein was a pig. All of them knew it. I knew it. He was a pig. They knew it, and they still kept pushing his films. How many times they have Harvey Weinstein on the Today Show? They all knew about Harvey Weinstein. Get out of town. All this stuff is fake. When Trump says fake news, it is fake news. Okay? It's fake because it's fake emotion. Oh, I'm so upset about my friend. Do you think I can get his office? I'm so upset. Matt Lauer's my... Willie Geist is like, I got that. Willie Geist is going to go for that anchor chair, don't you think? Because he's very likable. He's a likable guy. He's like 6'5", by the way. He's huge. He's actually a great guy. I like Willie. So he's going to go for that. He'd be pretty good in that role. I'm lobbying for Willie Geist. If they're going to go for someone who's kind of a acceptable person. But Megyn Kelly, ixnay on that. That one. That will be the cat scratch sound. That'll be between her and Savannah. That's not going to work. I don't think they always do that fake crosstalk. Like when Hannity and I do crosstalk at the end of his show, we really mean it because we've known each other for 20 years and we're pals. But when Savannah does that crosstalk with Megyn on her special reports, it's forced, don't you think? It doesn't.
Mm-mm.
Tell us about your
They're just reading the prompter.
Interview with the Menendez brothers, Megyn.
Oh.
The Menendez brothers in jail because they deserve to be highlighted for blowing their parents away. Unbelievable. All right. This was Peggy Noonan questioning the deal-making skills of Donald Trump.
President Trump is not good at the art of the political deal. He apparently was good at business deals. He has won an election race, but he's not good at making the deals you got to make to get big legislation through.
Well, I think he made a mistake in trusting Paul Ryan on and Mitch McConnell, I should say, even more on health care. I think that's for sure right. But I think he's gotten more juice on trade and working with President Xi and the NAFTA. He's already made so much progress on both China and NAFTA. I got some China watch updates for you, which we're going to get to next segment. Paul Ryan is speaking right now. We're going to go to this live. Let's go.
That's creative. That was very creative. Okay, A for creativity. It wasn't yelling it out. It was good. Lisa from PBS. That was really good. All right. All right. No, it's good.
On this same subject, do you or do any members of leadership, including committee chairmen, receive notice of when these settlements are made?
We don't.
The settlements. He's going for the settlements for the shush fund for sexual.
Yeah, we don't know
predators.
those names. We don't have this information. That's why he's reviewing the entire process. So we're waiting. He's doing hearings. We're waiting for the committee to review the entire process to see how this settlements issue needs to be addressed, reformed going forward. We don't want to make one-off decisions. We want to make a comprehensive review of the entire situation, and we do not get these names.
Comprehensive such fund reform.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Paul wants to get away. He couldn't get away from that microphone fast enough.
Anything that comes through the Office of Compliance for approval has to be signed off on by the chairman of the Committee on House Administration and the ranking member. I've been chairman since January of this year, 11 months, and I've yet to have a single settlement come to my desk.
Give us the names. Who is that? Who is that guy? Who is that congressman? Never seen in my life.
We do know that since the inception of the Congressional Accountability Act back in 1995, settlements that have been paid out from 1997 to the present, we're told total about $17 million on 260 plus claims.
We're told.
So what we don't have,
names,
and we're trying to get and believe that we will ultimately get it, is a breakdown on how many of those claims are member sexual harassment. I think that's a fair question, something that we should be able to come up with. Included in that is for the entire legislative branch, all of those claims. So 2002, there were a large number of anthrax claims. And 2007, there were asbestos claims.
Okay, well, so that's fine. Let's find out what they are. Okay, we'll continue with this. 855-40-LAURA. No one seems to know or give us the names of well, how hard could it be? You only got 200 and some names. Get me the names. Well, why the delay? Don't go away.
Each and every day, I just feel the honor, the opportunity, and the privilege it is to work in such a place. That's how so many people feel. But the fact that some people end up walking these halls, are subjected to a threatening or hostile work environment when they came here to serve their country, to serve their ideals, that's wrong. That's a disgrace. We cannot and we will not tolerate that kind of behavior.
It seems that he didn't know about this fund either, which is why I asked that congressman from Oklahoma, whose name escapes me, the other night on air, on the Ingraham angle. I asked him, what other things don't you know about in Congress? I mean, congressman after congressman after congressman has come on my show saying they had no idea that this was a fund. I believe them. Apparently this one committee has the information. The Housing Committee. Who was the guy who was on, guys? I asked you like 15 times. Who?
Greg Harper, Republican from Mississippi.
Greg Harper? So he knows the names, correct? Of who the congressmen are? He has to. He's the head of that committee that oversees the slush fund for the settlements. Greg Harper. Elisa, let's get him on the angle tonight. Let's get him on the angle tonight. Let's. But again, it's everyone like, don't look at me. I don't know who the names are. No, I don't know. And Paul Ryan was, he was good there. We're not going to tolerate this. And I don't think Paul Ryan would tolerate it. He's a good guy. I mean, I don't agree with Ryan. We have had our big fights, but I'm just saying as a person, he's a good person. He didn't know about this. Isn't it amazing? $17 million just gone. Gone.
Well, unless you were in trouble, you wouldn't
know about it. It's shocking that none of these congressmen have come forward who were part of the settlement. They know their name is going to come forward. They know it. It's going to be released. And some of them might have settled because they didn't want to deal with it. Not everyone who is charged is guilty in all of this.
The Serial Killer Podcast, hosted by me, Thomas Warburg Thune, is the podcast dedicated to serial killers, who they were, what they did, and how. Join me as I sit down bi-weekly to bring you, dear listener, into the dark land of serial murder and psychopathy. The show goes into graphic detail on the most infamous and lesser-known serial killers from around the world, with each episode covering one unique serial killer. So far, the show has covered serial killer superstars such as BTK, Jeffrey Dahmer, and the Yorkshire Ripper, and lesser-known killers such as Elias Abuelazam and Anatoly Onoprienko. Be advised, this show is not for children as it takes you deep into the twisted world of ultimate evil. You can find me exclusively at podcastone.com or on the new Podcast One app. Also, don't forget to rate and review on Apple Podcasts.
A D.C. District Court judge ruled in favor of Mick Mulvaney, saying he can stay in the job atop the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for the time being.
Anybody who thinks that a Trump administration CFPB would be the same as an Obama administration Trump CFPB is simply being naive. Elections have consequences at every agency, and that includes the CFPB.
You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. This is kind of feels like a wonky topic, but Trump won yesterday at in federal court. The Lori Glesher, I don't know what her Gleason, or what's the English, the deputy.
Obama deputy.
The Obama deputy Consumer Financial Protection Board Bureau. She was put in place by Rich Cordray, who resigned. He fancies himself the next governor of, where is he going, Ohio, Illinois? Or he wants to be a governor. And Cordray resigns. He puts his gal as number 2. Trump says, drops all Mulvaney over there from OMB and says, no, we're going to stick Mick Mulvaney in. And they go to court. And Cordray thinks they're going to win in court, and the judge says, not right now. We're not putting a stay on the Trump pick to head the Consumer Financial Protection Board. It's his executive branch, and he has the executive authority to do this. It's an independent agency, but no one empowered Rich Cordray to appoint his own head of the bureau. That's not how it works. And that's not even getting to what's happened to this board that was set up under the Dodd-Frank monstrosity back several years ago now, that the Republicans clearly think is hindering growth, hindering lending, hurting smaller financial institutions. Joining us now, and I'm delighted he's with us, Ron Rubin, is a D.C.-based lawyer and writer, former enforcement attorney at the CFPB, and chief advisor on regulatory policy at the House Financial Services Committee. He knows all about this. He has worked in presidential campaigns, and he saw how this was all going down. Turned out very partisan, and we're delighted he's with us. Ron, thanks for sharing your thoughts on this. I think a lot of people hear CFPB and I don't know what you're talking about. It's really boring. But this is actually important because it was sold to the American people as the great savior for the consumer, especially against predatory lending practices. These high-interest, short-term loans that were used especially in minority communities and in low-income people. But in the end, it turned out, I believe, to be extremely partisan in the way they hired and the way they dealt with decision after decision. Tell us why this is an important issue for people to understand, listening in their cars or in their kitchens across the country.
Well, the simple short answer is it's the best demonstration you'll ever see of absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so Elizabeth Warren came up with this idea in 2007, very simple idea that really anybody should agree with, that there should be an agency that simply enforces the law and keeps financial businesses from cheating people. But by the time President Obama was elected, and then there was a Democrat Congress and a filibuster-proof Senate, they passed this massive liberal wish list of, so much bigger than the original concept of a law enforcement agency to protect consumers. It really became a consumer advocacy organization, and the worst part of it was that the law said that the president couldn't fire the director except for cause, and the funding was through the Federal Reserve, which is a bank. So the Federal Reserve doesn't come to Congress to ask for money. So Congress had no way of cutting the CFPB's budget. And that's normally the way Congress reins in rogue agencies. And so what very quickly happened was they kind of put up a wall around this agency. When Republicans finally came back to power, if they would say, what's going on in the agency, give us documents, they would just say no. They would ignore them. And they went off on this kind of run of, passing wildly left-wing regulations. As far as, what I did was I was one of the earliest enforcement attorneys, and I wrote many of the important internal procedures. I was in all of the meetings with all the top people. I worked with Richard Cordray when he was originally the head of enforcement, and then he became the director of the agency. And I was in with the meetings with all the top people. So I saw kind of everything and how everything developed. And then when I left, and I was a partner at a law firm, I defended against the same people I had trained. And I was so just blown away by how unprofessional they kind of did these enforcement actions. And worst of all, how the defendants and the defending businesses literally had no way to defend themselves. And so basically the CFPB would come in and before they even started an investigation, a lot of the time, the businesses were guilty and it was over and they couldn't defend themselves. And on top of that, the law was so broad that it allowed the CFPB to fine almost as much as they wanted to for anything. And so, in one of my articles I wrote that the standard fine was always the same. The fine was, how much can you pay? And it just became this incredible nightmare.
So it was a shakedown. It ends up being a shakedown. People go into these settlements, do they not? Because they can't afford the litigation costs. They can't afford the investigation costs. And that's just becomes a cost of doing business for a lot of these institutions. And I was also very interested to read comments, and I think some from you, about what you overheard in relation to hiring of new staff at the CFPB under Rich Cordray and in the Obama era. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we would have the weekly hiring meetings, and it was this process that, in retrospect, it was really illegal. But a few attorneys would interview whoever the candidates were, and then every week we would have these meetings where people would discuss, and anybody, even the people who weren't in the interviews, anybody could kind of chime in and say whether they wanted to hire the person or not. And it very quickly became this thing where if they suspected that you were not a Democrat or God forbid you were a Republican, this thing people would say is, well, we don't think that the candidate believes in the mission. And that was always understood to be, this person may not be a Democrat. And Kent Marcus, who became the enforcement director after Rich Cordray was promoted up to director, in one of these meetings, he kind of said, well, sounds like a good liberal to me. And he really wasn't being sarcastic. He kind of meant it. And around the room, so it was kind of like the unspoken thing you could never say. And there were kind of gasps around the room.
Right, so you were never going to get hired. If you were a known conservative, you were not going to get hired at the CFPB, correct?
Not even close. Absolutely.
But it's supposed to be nonpartisan, correct?
Well, for 6 years they've gone on and they said, well, this is an independent agency. We need an independent agency. And, one of the articles I laughed at, what Democrats the law they finally passed was not just an independent agency, but independent from Republicans. And, they were happy. It's funny. One of the stats that they were talking about yesterday was something like 593 CFPB employees donated to Democratic, and one donates to Republicans. And I was really puzzled by this because I didn't donate, and for the life of me, I can't think of who that one person
maybe it was maybe it was a mistake. They hit the wrong button. They probably hit the wrong button on one of those email solicitations. So I have to ask you a question. What do you think ultimately is going to happen here? They're winning in court on the preliminary injunction. They already won there. They're going to win. It's clearly Mulvaney or whoever replaces Mulvaney by Trump will be in there. Do you think they shut it down, totally reform it? I know Ron DeSantis, congressman from Florida, has wanted to reform this. Is there a real reason for this to actually be at all? Should it be defunded and shut down?
Well, first of all, they can't just shut it down because, that would take a law, basically, to undo the law. So, right now it's very hard to pass any law. But if somehow at some point, if they could make it into what it was supposed to be, which was a simple law enforcement agency, for example, like the Securities and Exchange Commission, that operates professionally and protects consumers from fraud and deceptive practices and things like that, sure, it would be, a good agency functioning in that way. So just to be clear, I think there's no doubt that the Republicans are going to take over this agency, that this legal case is pretty much over.
No, it's done.
It was kind of disgusting that it even happened, that Democrats treated this like we own this agency and nobody can can take it over, which of course is the most obvious disclaimer to their comment that it's an independent agency.
Well, I have a question. So does that deputy that was dropped in by Cordray, does she leave now? Or I mean, is she just going to squat? Is she a squatter now in that office? She's just never going to leave, or what?
I mean, I'm guessing she's going to be fired. But here's the thing that people don't realize. For the last 2 years, the guy who really was the deputy director, he was the head of their rulemaking group. Rich Cordray made him acting deputy director because he was afraid this guy wouldn't go along with this coup of the agency whenever the time came.
Yeah.
So Leandra English was Rich Cordray's chief of staff, and really not even qualified to do this job as deputy director.
Total affirmative action. So it was like his pal, the chief of staff. Let's throw her in.
It was completely political, and
not even the deputy. I got that wrong. I apologize. I got that wrong. She was the chief of staff, and I knew that. You're right. Okay,
well, he made her the deputy on the afternoon that he was resigning. So it was like on the way out the door, he threw her in.
And what happened to the deputy that was there? I'm getting in the weeds here, but what happened to him?
He's still there. No, he's still there.
Two deputies?
He didn't want to lose it. Well, I mean, he was the acting deputy director, so he went back. So she theoretically became deputy director that day, and then acting director the next day, according to their plan. So I guess he would have still been acting director, but his job is really the head of the rulemaking group, and it's a job that he wants to keep. He didn't go along with all this.
This is ridiculous. I mean, now it's a Titanic. It's a Titanic. The deck chairs are being rearranged, and then they're all upset about this judge. Now the judge is wrong. He's a runaway judge because they didn't get the result they wanted. Ron, you really explained this easy to understand, and made it really simple for us to get, and we really appreciate it. We hope to have you on the Ingraham Angle soon, and there'll be other twists and turns on these types of matters. And what a great guest. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. We're going to hit a lot of people calling in about Lauer. Who should replace Matt Lauer at the Today Show? Has the sexual harassment mania gone too far? Are all men evil in the workplace? That's kind of what we're seeing here. That's what a lot of people are starting to believe, especially young women. Don't go away.
Is this proving to be a habit that you're finding a difficult time breaking?
Very sad news for everybody here at NBC, obviously. For the person who was brave enough to come forward, also, as Savannah said there, for a lot of people at the Today Show that have known and loved Matt for a very long time. You know, Mike Barnacle said after the passing of Tim Russert that television is an MRI for the soul, that, you know, if you see somebody long enough on TV, you really can. That was true with Tim, and my gosh, with Savannah right there, Savannah Anahoda.
Tina always says the right lyrics. Oh. You know, I was thinking about that hip-hop segment we did on the Ingraham Angle, and I'm thinking of her. Listen to this. Love. Oh, she is awesome. Funk and R&B and all of it together, Tina Turner. Without you, she can't. They can't live without Matt Lauer. Apparently, Hoda's crying, Oprah's crying, everybody's
crying.
All
these people. Brian Stelter, in his book called Top of the Morning in 2013, he writes, "Men fantasized about being him, Matt Lauer. Women fantasized about sleeping with him. Surely some of those men did too. To an entire generation of aspiring TV journalists, he represented the pinnacle." What? World is Brian Stelter living in?
Stelter. Shepherd in Florida. Shepherd, go ahead. You have an interesting theory. Go ahead.
Yes, Laura. We are now seeing something we have never seen in the past. Liberals are now going after their own, and I believe they have an agenda. Never in the past have they gone after the likes of Harvey Weinstein, of Al Franken.
Get to the point.
Now we have this. The point is, I believe they are paving the way to go after President Trump. And they will be able to say, look, we
did this to our own. There's a process for that. It's called impeachment. We'll talk about it.
Thanks for listening to the Laura Ingraham Show podcast. Download new episodes every week at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.
Hey everybody, it's Heather Dubrow. Come join me for Heather Dubrow's World exclusively on Podcast One. We have so many fun conversations and great guests. Recently, Corinne Olympios from The Bachelor was here. Suzanne Summers, Matt Eisman, Tamara Judge, my buddy, was here. All kinds of really fun. Randy Jackson, Kellen Lutz. I didn't let him bite me. Join me every Friday on podcastone.com, the new Podcast One app, and subscribe to Apple Podcasts.